Hey guys, Jordan here from Comic Book Weekly, ready to kick off the very first edition of Back Issue of the Month. As promised, I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit of Punisher Max Volume 1 by Garth Ennis. To set it up though, it's pretty much the very first comic book I ever bought, and the reason was the 2004 Punisher film starring Thomas Jane and John Travolta. I was such a big fan of the film. Never really did special features before, but I was like, hey, I should check these out anyway. And they talked to Garth Ennis, and he was talking about how he set it up. And so the book that the film is based on is this one right here, Welcome Back, Frank, which is the first 12 issues of Garth Ennis' initial run on the Punisher. It got adapted into film, and from here, they went and they made the film. The film's a lot different from the book is, but this is the source material. It's worth checking out if you like that movie. If you kind of want to learn a little bit more about the characters or see the differences between the characters in the movie and the book, it's a good place to start. But because of this, they ended up making a hit movie. The movie was so popular that Marvel decided to start the Max line of publications to give more mature readers more mature stories. So one of the very first ones they did was this one right here. It's called In the Beginning, which sets up Frank as about a 60-year-old vigilante who's been doing this for years. And he's grizzled, he's beat up, he's scarred, he's had so many broken bones it's not even funny. So the point of the Max publication was to really write Punisher stories the way they should be written. And all 10 volumes that Garth Ennis has done, he did between 2004 and I think 2007, are all fantastic. They're all great reads. They're all excellent, excellent Punisher stories because finally he got to write Frank Castle the way he needs to be written, which is in the regular world that we live in, with pimps and drug dealers and human traffickers and mafiosos, instead of the superpowered world that he's kind of been stuck in for a long, long time, which makes him one of the weaker guys as far as abilities and storylines go. Because I mean, how much can he really do against the Captain Americas of the world and the Thors of the world? He doesn't have any powers. He's just a really tough guy who's very, very smart and very skilled at what he does. These books, totally different. One of the big keynotes from these books is all the covers for the series were done by Tim Bradstreet, who has these, as you can see, really realistic type, almost photography type covers that are excellent and are legendary. He also worked on the film, doing the promotional posters and stuff. Anyway, the art in this is fantastic as well. It's really, really dark and really, really graphic. Like I said, the Max series of comics, the Max publication for Marvel is for adults. It's not for kids. It's really intense. There's blood, there's gore, there's sex, cursing, just horrible, horrible violence. Just the last page of this comic is enough. If you just flip to it, it's enough to really explain the whole situation. If you're gonna know whether you're in or out. To me, all of these books are 10s. Garth Ennis wrote absolutely fantastic Punisher stories. He knew exactly where to take Frank in these stories, even as an older man who's still in incredibly good shape, who's had tons of experience doing this, and he's just a total badass in every comic book. But he doesn't just steamroll through everything. He takes his lumps, he gets hurt, he is on the brink of death a few times, and they're really, really great stories. This one in particular kind of makes the slate clean for the series from here on out. It erases any accomplices or partners he's had in the past. It sets up how he became the Punisher, what pushed him to it. Tells a neat backstory of Frank from right after he lost his family, and really it's beautifully written, although it is incredibly graphic. There's some really gruesome panels in this comic book which really make it really help Frank Castle make a statement as to who the Punisher is and who runs New York, really. If you're going to be a bad guy in New York, you better know that Frank's going to be right around the corner, and he's going to be gunning for you eventually, even if you don't think so. So, to me, there's been no Punisher comic that I've read since that is compared to these books. The first 10 volumes, I think it's the first 66 issues of the Punisher Max series, are so good. There's very few comic book series I have read that stand up to this one. They're just written perfect for Frank Castle. Garth Ennis really explored what kind of character the Punisher would be if he lived in the world that we do, if he wasn't just a comic book character. And really he covers the whole gambit of things in this series, from simple murder to sex trafficking and gun running, corporate crime, like white collar crimes. Pretty much everything's covered. At one point he's hunting for terrorists. It's really, really fantastic. It's so well done. If you like the Punisher at all, if you've liked anything written about the Punisher, you need to check it out. If you want something that's more mature, that's more realistic than a lot of the stuff that's out there, and you're a mature reader, definitely check this out. Any parents watching this, definitely not for young kids, because some of the stuff is really, really intense. There's a lot of sexual themes and a lot of intense violence and cursing, but this is a great place. If you want to start with the Punisher, you don't need to go back to the 80s and early 90s. You can start with the Punisher Max in the Beginning by Garth Ennis. It is absolutely next level. It's so good. The artwork is great. The storytelling is great. The tone, the theme, everything in this book is fantastically well done. And if you give it a chance, if you read it, you will not be disappointed. I promise you. I promise you, because this book is the main reason that I continued to collect comics, that I continued to go and check out other things, because as soon as I read that book, I knew, it can't be the only one out there that's that good. So check that out, guys. It's incredible. But thanks for joining us again, okay? We'll see you next week with another great episode of Comic Book Weekly and another back issue of the week. And then you guys know what it is. Remember to pick up your weekly comics.